Calamatta Cuschieri was established in 1972, and throughout our years of operation, we've developed our service offering from what was initially a small family-run wealth management business to what is today a business that encompasses more than 50 members of staff and covering the entire segment of the asset management service. So we do private clients wealth management, we do institutional portfolio management services. We're very much involved in the setting up and administration of Malta domiciled funds. And in recent years, we've also developed a very strong presence online. Well, much has been written and said about the introduction of the AIFMD, and as you're aware, at the end of July of this year, it has finally come into force. We must admit our experience has been that even though there was so much fear, so to speak, by many of our clients and other industry participants that it was going to bring about a massive change, the reality is that yes, it has been a game changer, but it's been, at least our experience to date has been that it's been relatively manageable. There's been a lot of awareness about the directive much before this came into force, and we feel that many of the industry participants were pretty much well geared for the changes that were to come about. That's not to say that the whole process was as plain sailing as one might think. However, overall, we feel that, as I said, the transition has been quite positive. I think one of the major implications of the introduction of the AIFMD, at least from our perspective as an asset servicing firm, is that increasingly we've noted that our clients, who typically are investment managers, are not so much interested in taking up the additional responsibilities that the directive has brought about in terms of, for example, reporting requirements. So there we feel that we have the possibility to add value given our central role within the fund structure, where we can effectively take over such a responsibility from the investment manager and let him or her focus on what they're most interested in doing, which is managing clients' money at the end of the day. This is interesting because as a jurisdiction, Malta is, and rightly so, is typically referred to in the hedge fund space. However, our experience to date has been that whilst definitely the largest growth emanates from the hedge fund space, specifically the Malta PIF regime, one should not underestimate the growth of UCITS funds. We know UCITS has a tremendous brand that has been developed over the course of the last couple of decades. Malta is slowly equipping itself to be able to service these types of funds. We're seeing an interesting cluster of depositories being set up in Malta, which in itself is critical for the growth of the UCITS industry in Malta. We understand there are also a few others which are in the pipeline of setting up operations here, so all this bodes very well. Given our involvement both on the investment management side and the fund administration side within the context of the UCITS funds in Malta, we feel that there is a healthy group of firms which can deliver service levels which are of a very great nature. There's expertise that has been developed over the last few years to help especially startup and medium-sized funds in a cost-efficient manner, something which we know, especially for smaller firms, with the total expense ratio being one of the main determinants or the most important contributions to underlying performance. We feel that Malta as a jurisdiction of choice, even for the setting up of UCITS funds, should be given its due consideration. The clear benefit here is the possibility of having a European-based management company with the possibility of passporting such a license into other European jurisdictions. Coupled with that, the fact that you can set up within the context of a European jurisdiction a management company at an attractive cost, because we all know that, especially when compared with other jurisdictions, the cost of setting up and running a business in Malta when compared to other jurisdictions in the European Union is comparatively more manageable, let's put it that way. The fact that we have a regulator that is very pro-business, very open to discussion with promoters, both on the fund space and on the management company, that will allow the licensing process to be streamlined and will lead to shorter time to market effectively. So I would really sum it up as being sort of the possibility to set up shop in Malta with good expertise, retaining the middle office and the risk operation here in Malta, and typically leaving the investment management function in more established jurisdictions such as the UK, for example. It's something that works fine. I think an interesting trend has definitely, post AIFMD, has definitely been the marked increase in the number of self-managed funds that we're seeing being set up, or at least converted into. And that is a clear consequence of the AIFMD, where you have a number of smaller funds which do not breach the €100 million threshold, and therefore it makes sense for them to be structured in that way. Another interesting development is definitely, as I hinted upon before, the increased interest that we're seeing from foreign fund promoters in terms of not only looking at the alternative space for the setting up of their funds, but also piggybacking on the UCITS brand, and they're, given our involvement both on the asset management side as well on the fund servicing, we feel that there are great opportunities, great synergies to be developed there. And the biggest challenge for Malta as a jurisdiction is to try to take it to the next level. We've done well within the last 10, 11 years since we've joined the European Union. We've been put on the map. We've had successive governments that have been very proactive in promoting Malta as an alternative jurisdiction. The MFSA has done and continues to do a fantastic job, but we now need to try to take it to the next level in terms of attracting a different type of client base. The small, the medium-sized investment manager is always going to be critical for us and is always going to be attracted to Malta as a jurisdiction because of our niche offering. However, the biggest challenge I feel is for Malta to try to make the step up. I would definitely not in quality, but the step up in size in terms of increasing the assets under management that are managed within the context of local funds.